All right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Ju, and I'm here with Master Ju.
Hello, Mr. Ju. How's it going?
Good. Anyway, so this idea came from actually one of our instructors last week. I was listening to her do a fundamental class, Miss Almbres, and she talked about G and H in the patterns, right? And so kind of found that Seizhong is the only pattern that uses G and H.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never think about that.
Yeah, so it's this.
Yeah, so I mean, I know the diagrams.
Is like a king, right? So it has the line,
Right.
3 lines and a line down the middle, right?
Right.
Now the interesting thing is that if
Are you sure that's the only one?
Yep, I'm pretty sure.
Seizhong?
Yep. The interesting part is that in ITF Taekwondo, that's the only one that has that. But if you ever look at like Pumse, I think that is their primary diagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
is to do the 3 lines with the line down the
How do you
middle.
know all that stuff?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. That could be wrong too. But I was looking at the diagrams for that, and I feel like that's kind of the basic layout that they choose.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So my question was, do you have anything to say about that first before I move on?
Not really, but
Okay. All right.
my question is, what came before?
Go.
The pattern diagram or the pattern?
Right.
Or are they the same?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess the question is like,
I think
it's
that
like
was your
no,
question.
yeah. That's my question is, when you create a pattern, this is just like for fun, right? But you also have number of
This
movements.
is always just for fun.
You
What are
have number
talking
of
about?
movements too. So you go, oh, this is the 38th movements, the 38th latitude, right? And then, oh, the 24 movements, it's the 24 characters. So, and then you have the pattern diagram, and then you have the pattern itself, right? So, what is your thoughts of how is the pattern created between General Che and these masters? And
They go, oh, we want to have a pattern that has
24.
24 movements to,
And how do we fill it in, right?
Right.
Or do you have movements that they want to do and they
Start
kind of
putting it
massaging it,
together.
right? So what's your thoughts on that?
It's like, which one came first, the chicken or the egg?
That's exactly where this came from. Yes. Which one came first?
Well, we definitely can't say for sure without asking like General Che, right?
Or anybody that was there.
Or anyone that was there. I think that, General Che said that patterns were developed for certain techniques to be learned, right? And so every pattern has a new technique in a way.
Yeah.
And so you learn those new techniques. It's kind of weird is like you look at some techniques and you go, wow, why is it such a later pattern? Do you actually start doing that? And why didn't they do it earlier?
You mean like turning kick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Right.
So you have these techniques, and then you've got to somehow, and all of these patterns are basically for certain ranks as they progress through the system.
But, at the same time, those patterns weren't specifically for that rank at that time. Because you know that they move them around. He had moved them around.
Like Kodang or Juche.
No,
Well,
that one was created later and replaced. But I think that if you look at the timeline, I think he had.
Right, I think
he
Warang
made-
was the
okay.
first one.
Yeah, but that's in the middle, right?
Right.
So it's kind
right.
of weird.
I kind of think that, this is only our opinion, right? Yeah, I probably,
Take it with a grain of salt.
yeah,
but,
take it
I
with a
mean-
grain of salt. You go, and they might write, oh, you idiot. What are you guys even talking about?
Yeah.
I think if it was me, I'd probably like, there are some movements, and let's make a forum just to practice these techniques. It's kind of like four-directional thrust or four-directional exercise, and go, I have this technique, and I want to practice it, right? And so
Right.
you do four-directional punch, four-directional block, four-directional thrust. You can do four-directional front snap kick, whatever, and you start creating these things. And I think for me, it's like, doing it for a while. Okay, I know all these different techniques. I'm going to create a new form, which I'll never create a new form, but
Yeah.
So you go like this. You go, okay, I have these techniques that I want to put in this particular pattern, and then you start laying it out, and then I guess that's the way I would do it probably. And then I want to create kind of a scenario, like maybe different attacks. How would I utilize those techniques in an attack? So I think the techniques came first, and then the patterns came. And then all patterns supposed to start and end at the same spot. Then you got to start looking at how this pattern diagram works out and all that stepping motion. I think that would be the order for me anyway.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of the ITF patterns have similarities with like Shotokan forms,
Absolutely.
which he had acquired a second dan in, right?
Right.
And so you see that a lot of the techniques kind of
It's already there.
They're already there, or maybe
Right.
they're already kind of in that same configuration. Because you see sometimes you're like, hey, those
That
three
was like-
movements look very similar to what we do, right?
Right, right.
And so I think that he already had ideas of like what kind of combinations that he wants to do. And I think that's kind of what came first, is that you have all these different combinations and skill sets that you want to do.
Yeah, but so if you go back and you ask that same question about like Shotokan, how
Yeah.
did they decide this particular pattern was this and this, right?
Right, it'd have to come down to the application, right?
Yeah, and it's kind
Application,
of
yeah.
interesting because some patterns don't, in some forms,
Yeah.
we'll say forms, because
Okay.
they don't necessarily start and end at the same spot, right?
right.
So they could be all over the place,
Right.
but that's the way that form is supposed to be performed,
yeah, right.
right?
So the interesting part about patterns itself is that there is like kind of a beauty to it, right? So anybody could create like a form.
Right.
I mean, you can make a form up if you want, and I think a lot of people kind of have like this idea that inspire, they want to do that.
But
When you look at like ITF patterns, they're a lot, some of them are like beautiful in their own ways.
right.
Just the configuration and the combination of the skill sets and the moves is like there's a style to it rather than, oh, I'm just mashing up techniques together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think I understand what you're saying.
So yeah, he could have like a whole bunch of techniques too.
Well, it's kind of interesting too because now that we've had more, we learn all these forms or patterns.
Yeah.
And if you want to create a new pattern, guess what? You're gonna kind of follow that kind of same system.
Yeah.
I started here. I do these techniques. But what makes patterns different between one system or one style is the way you execute these techniques.
Right.
And we in the ITF kind of do this sine wave thing. But it's also true like the Changheng. It's basically the same form, but they don't have, you won't have that sine wave per se. So it looks a little bit different. Maybe it looks more karate-ish or whatever, right?
Right.
And so then you look at it and go, oh, that looks nice, or it doesn't look nice. So again, it comes down to opinion. Depends on your organization.
Right.
Depends on who you follow.
Right.
Those kind of things, right?
Anyways, let us know your guys' thoughts on which came first. The
Chicken or
diagram?
egg?
Yeah, the chicken or the egg pattern
The
or
diagram.
the diagram. Or whatever other combination you want to go with. But as always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Taekwondo.